Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Lubianina, currently trying to finish all of my unfinished DIYs around my house while I am unfortunately unemployed. But today what we're gonna do, I think, is a little more of like a vlog. We will be doing some knitting, or I'm gonna attempt to do some knitting, but it all kind of depends what we find at the thrift store. So it's actually the first day of October and I want to try and just bring in some of that fall Halloween decor. I have some that I like to use every year, but I'm also going to see what else we can add. So we're going to head to the thrift store, see what we can find. Maybe we'll even do some baking. Maybe we'll get a nice simmer pot going. But I wanted to share with you as we get in that spooky Halloween-y mood. I don't know about you, but this is like the first year that I have like ever not been excited for fall. I used to be such a fall and Halloween girly. I think I've just fallen so in love with spring and summer that, I don't know, it just made me kind of sad that summer was over and that we're already in fall. So my hopes is that by doing some of this decorating and putting some of that fall mood into my space, it'll get me excited for fall as well. All right, so let's go to the thrift store. I'm back from the thrift store and I wanted to show you what I ended up getting. So I got this scarf. I like to put like a little runner on my shelf that's seasonal, and so I thought this one was cute. I didn't really have a good one already for fall, so I'm just using a scarf. It works as a table runner, and this one's very pretty fall colors. I got two different versions of this. But this is like an old-fashioned letter holder. It looks, I don't know, I wonder if the person who made this like made it themselves, because it looks a little handmade and not like factory made. But yeah, I feel like we have a hard time we just have a lot of dumping zones, and especially mail. We don't have a designated place to like hold mail. So that's why I got this as one option. I thought it was really cute. I don't know exactly where would be the best place in our home to hang it in terms of like when we come in, where's like what makes the most sense for just like plopping the mail down. And then I got the second one is this version. It's a tabletop version that if we don't use for letter holding, I might put it at my desk to hold paper. I feel like I tend to, open mail and then I'll be like, well, I need to handle this, but not right now. And then it just like sits on a pile, or like I'm one who goes to the doctors a lot. So having like a place to put all of my little like doctor visit summaries when I come home would be nice. That's not just like a pile somewhere. So I got this as well as like an alternative. I would definitely use it if we don't use it for mail. So that's why I thought it'd be okay. And then the next thing I got were these. These are two different kinds of timers. Like you plug them in and then you plug a light into it, and then it'll be on a timer and it'll turn the light on and off. My family, we always use this for our Christmas trees every year. I thought it would be nice just to have them for turning the lights on and off. I know that there are like smart light bulbs and whatever, but I don't know, why do we have to make something new when there's already these that exist? And there were so many of them at the thrift store. So Got these as well. I got a couple of them. And then the thrift store always has so much yarn, and the DIY that I want to do is I want to knit these really cute pumpkins. I found this YouTube video tutorial and I got some yarn to do it. I think they'll be white because they didn't have any like orange or pretty orange, but the white I thought was nice, and I tend to buy white pumpkins, so I thought this would be good. Maybe this is like a very rich red, like a wine red or a burgundy, so maybe I'll like, I'll have to see how much yarn it uses, but maybe I could also make some red pumpkins or whatever, we'll see. In order to knit those, I have to finish knitting my blanket, which has taken me months. It is like a lot to knit a blanket. It's a big investment, and the only reason I started knitting a blanket was because I had started getting really into audiobooks this year, and sometimes when you're really into one, you just want to like listen to it, and I tend to listen to them while I'm like at the gym or doing household chores, but sometimes like you run out of things to do and you're just sitting there listening, and I would find myself scrolling on my phone, and I didn't like that. So instead I started knitting. The only thing I ever knew how to knit was a scarf. That's something my granny taught me how to do. So I had started out knitting scarves, but they are really quick and easy to knit, and I was like, I'm gonna have like 40 scarves by the time I'm like done listening to this book. So instead I was like, a blanket's just a ginormous scarf. So I started knitting a blanket, and it's been good. Like, I like doing it, and it's really nice, but it just takes a lot of time, like to do one row. And of course it's dependent on how big you want it, but for me, the number of stitches I cast on to do one row, it takes 15 minutes. So yeah, so it's like hours and hours and hours of my life. I have to finish the blanket to make the pumpkins. I really don't have very much more to go, but in the meantime, let's put up some of my other decorations around the house and start getting things all festive. All right, so our good old shelf here. These were the cute little summer ones that I put up. They're little napkins that actually were my granny's. I thought they were adorable for summertime. Now that it is summer no more, it's time to replace them and put a new runner down. All right, I think these are such beautiful fall colors. I love the orange and the green. I know that green is like very much trending for fall this year, at least that's what I've heard. Let's go ahead, get her on. Ah, she's so cute. If you're wondering what I kept in this jar, it's all my old Polaroids that I used to have. My Polaroid camera unfortunately broke, but I used to keep them up, hang them up a lot, but I don't do that anymore, but I wanted to still be able to look at them, so that's where I put them. This is something that I save every year. It's dried, so it doesn't really go bad per se, not really. And so keep your corn, keep your dried corn. It's really festive. That's what I like to do. Maybe like that. All right, so I'm gonna bake some pumpkin cookies. For me, pumpkin cookies are a staple for fall. Every fall growing up, my mom used to make pumpkin cookies. And so I always now make them when fall rolls around. So this is actually a recipe I found online. It's not the one I grew up using or the one my mom used growing up. I don't know where that one is. I've tried to find it and replicate it, and I just haven't been able to among the cookbooks she had. So I just now make whatever pumpkin cookies that I find online. I've made this one the last couple of years and I've liked it. So we're gonna do that. But first, we're gonna cream the butter and brown sugar. I learned this from Sola, but always scrape everything. That's what really makes a difference. Scrape it down, get it, all those nooks and crannies. Sometimes you'll get pockets of unmixed ingredients in a stand mixer. So that's something I learned from Sola, El Whaley. Scrape. Okay, now we're gonna add the egg yolk. I'm gonna try and do one at a time. And something to know about pumpkin cookies is pumpkin as an ingredient tends to make like whatever batter you're using pretty cakey. So that's something like just to keep in mind. Usually pumpkin cookies aren't going to be like as crisp as you might expect a normal cookie. Something that this recipe does is that it has you try and remove as much of the water content out of the pumpkin puree as possible. So I already did that, and I think it does help reduce the cakiness factor of the pumpkin puree and the pumpkin cookie. But yeah, it's just something to know if you're making pumpkin cookies. They're not, depending on the recipe, obviously, like maybe there are recipes that have accounted for that, but they usually turn out a little cakier than your normal cookie. Scrape, scrape, scrape. All right, into our flour, we're gonna add a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, powder, baking soda. Mix this. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now we are going to add the flour mixture and we're going to make the dough. This is like definitely when you want to make sure you get a good scrape in, because there is a lot of unmixed flour at the bottom of the bowl. My apron, so dirty. Okay, so one of the things that this recipe does is you roll your the dough in cinnamon sugar. I made snickerdoodles last weekend, so I had this left over. So we're gonna use that. I make a lot of cookies. I love making cookies. Every Christmas, I do a cookie fiesta, and it's essentially an opportunity for me to bake all the cookies that I wanna make at Christmas time, and then invite loved ones to my home to eat them. So it's not like a cookie potluck where you bring your own cookie. I provide all the cookies because I love baking and I love cookies. But anyway, I have a cookie scoop. It really makes a difference. The other thing I like to do is I don't bake all of these cookies. I stopped doing that. I stopped baking like 2 dozen cookies when I make cookie dough now. I pre-make all the little balls like I'm doing now, and then I freeze them, and then I keep them in my freezer. Like what I do is I'll put the tray like this in the freezer so that they freeze solid individually, and then I can put them in like a bag together. That way they won't be like frozen clumps together, if that makes sense. And then I can just pull out a couple of cookies to eat at it and bake. Like I'll pull out like, let's say like 4 cookies, I'll bake 4 cookies, and then I find for me, I have such a big sweet tooth that I tend to eat them, like I have no self-control. I'll eat the whole box of cookies, you know? And so I found that this strategy or method helps me from eating the whole batch of cookies. There's still some batter in there, but roll around in the cookie, roll around in the sugar, cinnamon sugar. Cookies. And that's using a cookie scoop, which I love. They're pretty exact. But I'm gonna probably bake like a couple of these, and then the rest will go in the freezer for another day. All right. Alright guys, so one thing you might not know about me is that I am a hot girly with tummy problems. So I have the stomach of a 60-year-old man. I have chronic acid reflux, and right now it's really bothering me, so I can't actually eat the cookies I made. So we have my beautiful boyfriend here to taste test them for us and tell you how good they are. All right, with that, Emery, do you want to try one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Nice. What are these?
They're pumpkin cookies. They're like the ones I make every year.
Very good.
The stamp of approval. All right, so you can trust me. They are good. They turned out. But yes, so part of the reason why I freeze them is so that when my stomach is feeling better, I can enjoy them, so. So these are the baked goods we got when we went a couple days ago to the farmers, I don't know what to call it. The pumpkin patch? I don't know. It's like a farm. They have a bakery and a pumpkin patch. And I have had only the apple cider donuts, and I think my stomach's okay. So I'm gonna give it a taste go. I've been dying to have this little vanilla. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. It has, can you see? It has little spooky ghosts on it. So we're gonna taste test this, and then I'm gonna show you the work I've done on the pumpkin. I'm such a sweet tooth girly. So good. All right, I'm gonna save this for in a second, but I wanted to show you. So I finished the blanket last night, which is amazing. I've been working on it since January, so it took me 10 months to finish that blanket, but now we can work on the little pumpkin. I'll link the video tutorial I'm following in the description box, but essentially these are my knitting needles that I use for my blanket. They're connected at the end, and I started knitting it already. When you first start out, you kind of need to like lock in, but it's turning out well. I think this will take me like no more than an hour maybe to knit. It's so quick, especially compared to the blanket. So I'll check in with you again once we've finished knitting, and then it's gonna be time to actually shape and form the cute little pumpkin. I finished knitting the little knit part of the pumpkin, and now it's time for assembly. I have the video open to reference it as we go. First is we're gonna knit, essentially instead of casting off, we take a needle and thread and we're gonna use that to essentially secure the top. I'm not gonna be too detailed because that's why there's a video tutorial you can follow. This is not a tutorial, it's just to show you a little craft activity. All right. Okay. All right, now it's time to cinch. It's been cinched, so the next thing is to stuff it. I'm just using old socks. These are socks that had holes in them and that I kept for like dusting to be more sustainable, kind of like how you tear up old t-shirts. So anyway, I didn't want to go out buy stuffing. I don't have any, so I thought this would be a good alternative. I just cut them up. All right, so the next step is to cinch the top.
One stitch, and then across one stitch, any stuffing coming through.
She's a little ball now. She's gonna be lumpy in a way that's different from stuffing. Okay, next we've formed the pumpkin, but now it's to add the stem. You could do a stick, which is what she does. I'm actually gonna do a cinnamon stick. Just adds like a nice, more fragrant fall touch. I've broken one of the sticks. There you go. A little pumpkin.